Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and hope everybody is having a good Friday. It's kind of nice end of the week. Looking forward to the weekend. Although I'll still be coding over the weekend. I'm sure it's the same with all of you. There's always something to work on. Today, let's see. I want to let you know about a few things before we get started. So one is really cool. Code School is having a free weekend. So their courses, you go on there and take their courses for free. So check that out. It's codeschool.com/free weekend. And thanks to Patrick for putting that in the live chat and in the Slack channel for our live stream. So check that out. Not an official endorsement because I haven't taken courses from Code School, so I can't say personally whether or not it's a good resource. But I checked out some of their courses, just the names of it, and they look pretty cool. So if you don't have anything else going on this weekend, then it seems like a good opportunity. There's one more thing. Oh, okay. I remember. I should write this stuff down beforehand so I don't forget. So this is the style guide, and I think I've shown this before on live streams. The style guide for the university that I work for. So I made this, and this was actually the first React project that I ever worked on. The reason that I bring this up now is because I had a comment on one of my videos, and someone had said they found a typo in the style guide, and they were going to submit a pull request to fix it, but they couldn't find the repo. And I thought that was odd, and I thought, well, maybe I'd made it private. It turns out I did. So I made that repo private. I'm not sure why, but I suspect since it was my first React project, I didn't want to look like a noob, so I just made it private. So now that I'm live on YouTube looking like a noob every day, I decided there's no reason that it should be private, so I did make it public. So that repo is now public. You can find it on my GitHub account, which I don't know if I have that linked or not. It's linked from my YouTube channel, which I think is linked in the video. But anyway, if you're interested, you can check it out. I wouldn't really spend too much time doing, if you wanted, let's say, to contribute, I wouldn't spend too much time on this one because after looking at the code, I think I'd really like to redo it and redo it to the point of maybe it's better just to start a completely new project. This was done using Create React App, but I ejected it really soon into it. It was maybe like the third or fourth commit said I ran eject, and I think I was just curious and wanted to do some things with the setup. I wanted to use Sass, and at the time I couldn't figure out how to get Sass to work without ejecting. So anyway, it probably has really old versions of everything. All the packages and things are old, and it's using Materialize and not Material UI. And I think I'd rather go with Material UI if I'm doing things in React. So anyway, just thought I'd let you know since there was some interest in the style guide. I didn't realize anybody was looking at it, but I guess at least one person was. Alright, so I'm going to say hi and check the live chat really quick. Okay, cool. Patrick says he's done some previous free weekends on with Code School, and he said it's a pretty good resource, so awesome. Okay, so let's get started. I do want to say my normal type kind of thing for any new people that are watching, or maybe you've only watched a few times and haven't heard this before. The point of this stream in particular is to just show me doing my everyday work as a front-end developer. I'm employed full-time by a university, and so it's not necessarily a tutorial, but I try to explain what I'm doing as much as possible. So if you're a beginner, then it might still be worthwhile for you to watch, even if this is maybe a little bit more advanced than what you're currently doing, because I try to explain things. And also, not everything is done during the stream. So from stream to stream, there may be things that I work on or things that change that obviously I didn't get recorded. There will be interruptions. Occasionally people knock on my door, or they call me, and I have to stop. So just wanted to get that all out of the way right off the bat. If you've been watching for a while, I know you know that, but occasionally I do have people that are I don't know, it seems like maybe from the comments that they've never heard that before or realized what I'm doing with this stream. So I just want to make sure everyone's expectations are correct with what we're trying to do here. Alright, so having said all that, I actually have changed very little since yesterday. And in fact, Patrick submitted a pull request, and basically I don't know that I want to say fixed the issues we were having with standard JS yesterday, but I guess kind of worked around it. All right, and here's the workaround. So you can see it in two places. First place is here at the top of our file. We can set some ESLint rules, and in this case we're setting the global Onmouseover, Onmouseout, right? So these were giving us errors saying they're not defined. Now there's no errors. And then also we can do that in our package JSON. So you can see under standard globals we put all these things, one of them being state. So when we were defining state in, let's see, were we doing it? Okay, when we were defining state like this, we were getting an undefined error. So now we don't get that anymore. And going forward, for anybody submitting pull requests, I think the best way to proceed with this is if you use something here with, especially if you use it, like this with the arrow function, it's not going to recognize that, right? For a lot of reasons that we went over yesterday, and I'm not going to go into because I'm not even exactly sure what the reasons are, but it has something to do with updates to yarn, npm. So what we will do then is in our global up here within the file, so not in package JSON, we're going to put everything that's giving us errors, or that we know ahead of time will probably give us errors. This avoids us having to bind. So normally we would bind these things. We bind this for each one of these in our constructor, right? So for every single, like for Onmouseover, for Onmouseout, that would be two separate lines. So we still have to do something, but it's less than what we'd normally have to do, and it's way up at the top, and it's not down here, kind of cluttering things up. So we can basically do it all in one line, and just throw it up here. It'll work. If you're going to use something on more than one component, then it can go here in our package JSON. So that's kind of the workaround for now. Thanks, Patrick, for doing that. That was really good thinking, actually, because it was just a very simple solution. And this is certainly a debatable thing. So I don't want to put this forward as like this is the solution that everybody should use, because there certainly might be a different way or better way to get these working without errors, and it's debatable as to whether or not this is even the best way to do things. The older way of using the constructor is still in the React documentation. Binding with this inside the constructor is in the React documentation. It does mention this property initializer syntax, but it says that it's experimental. So this is certainly not the standard way. I like it. I've been doing it that way for at least the last 2 projects, I think, including this one. And so I've gotten used to it. I like it. It's more concise. And I don't have a problem being able to know what's going on. I have read, online, some people saying that they're not sure, what's going on when they see that, but I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. So I'd like to keep using that, but I certainly understand let's say if you were to submit a pull request using the older way of doing things, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not going to say that you need to change it. So with that said, we're going to move forward. When I do things, I'll do it with the property initializer syntax, but I definitely don't want to put that forward like this is the way to do it, because I don't think that that's, at least from what I've researched, it's certainly not a decided issue yet. Okay. So actually, I just got a link from. So Ben put a link in about this bind issue. So I'm gonna open that up on my other screen so I don't forget. But I'm not gonna go over it right now because I've already talked for a long time without doing any coding. So I'd like to get started on the coding. But thank you, Ben. I will check that out as soon as I'm done with the stream. And what we were working on yesterday, so just to catch everyone up, we're building with React, where we use create React app, and we've got a bunch of other kind of nice tools that we're working with to auto format our code. And so the basic function of what we're building is to provide resources like logo, images, and information to people who work at this university that I work at, and also allow them through a form to submit requests for work. So we're working today on this section, and so yesterday we set some things up to be able to track the scroll position of the user on the page, and to also get the values of the Y position of each of these. These are all H3s that I'm highlighting. Each of these H3s. The plan today is to change this side menu here to reflect the names of these headers, and to have, as we scroll down, have the appropriate name be highlighted. Okay, and not only that, but we'd like it if you happen to click on one of those names, that it would scroll automatically to that section. Okay, so we're going to be adapting this. This component comes in Material UI, and I think it's called a stepper in Material UI. So it's not exactly intended for this kind of thing, but it's close enough that I think we can adapt it pretty easily. I don't think it'll take too much work to do this. So that's where we're at. That's what's going on. So if you want to follow along in the repo, we're in the planningguide.js is where we'll be at for probably all of this. Maybe we'll put some styles in a SAS file, but other than that, we're going to be hanging out in this file. So I'm going to close our folder tree view, and just give us some more space. I'll make this a bit bigger for you all. Let's see. So we need, let's see. I need to get my mind wrapped around where we left off at. I had meetings all morning, and so I didn't get a chance to work on this. Okay. All right. So currently, our header positions are here in an array, and then our scroll position is here under scroll Y. So let's change the values here for this stepper, just to make it a bit more obvious what this is supposed to do. I keep having to explain what it's going to do because we still have all these default things here. So let's change that. And for now, I think I'm just going to manually put the sections in. I think if we had more sections, it would be a better idea to grab the text of each H3 and then loop over. Let's say we had an array of the text for each of the H3s, loop over that, and then create these. But since we only have, 3 or 4, I'm just going to put them in here. And I'll just copy and paste these. Actually, this will be faster. Let me drag this over on my other screen, and it'll be a lot faster for me to copy and paste that. I may shorten some of these up. We'll see how they display, but I'd rather not have them wrap onto another line. So we'll see if that's necessary. And we need to add a few more. We need just one more, right? There's only 4. And let's give this a step index of 3. Oops. And this should be 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so these should be 3 as well. Alright, let's see how that looks. Oops. Okay. That's actually not bad. Now that I look at this, I think it's worded a bit. I don't like how it's worded, right? So it says, please follow these guidelines. And so it says, plan ahead, proof the job in a timely manner. So those are like saying, here's what you do, right? You have to plan ahead. You have to proof the job in a timely manner. And then this just says budget information. I think it might be better if it just said budget, right? Like you need to budget. And then obviously this is information about budgeting. Normally I don't make decisions about content. We have content editors that just tell me what to do, but I think I'm going to change that and we'll just see how it goes. They'll definitely make me change it back if they don't like that. Let's see. Budget plan ahead. Services. Following that same logic, services would probably go better up here. So plan ahead. I guess it'd be better if it said plan ahead, choose services, budget, proof the job in a timely manner. Maybe services could go after budget. I'm gonna leave it alone for now. This is not really my area. I'll let the content people deal with that. But now that we after we had it kind of displayed over here, it looked a little odd to me. I think we can get rid of this 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, the steps are somewhat logical, but right now, at least, the position of services throws things off a bit, because that's obviously not the last step. So we're going to remove this reset, and we're going to remove this click a step, and then I guess we'll remove these as well. So we don't need, this entire paragraph we can get rid of, and we can get rid of this. Hopefully this won't break things. And I think we don't need these buttons anymore now. Okay, great. So we have gotten rid of that. Good. Okay, so it's still doing some things that we don't really want it to do, but we got some improvement here. Whoops, forgot to set my Pomodoro timer. So let's set it now. Better late than never. So we may need to, let's check out the options in Material UI. If there's not an option to change how this looks, then we can always just use some CSS to override things. I'd rather not directly modify the component in Material UI, so I think it would be better in this case to just change, essentially just hide this with CSS, assuming that there's no option. And we need okay, it looks like we may be able to put whatever we want inside the step. What do we have now? Okay, so right now we're using this step button, which I'm assuming that's what's giving us our this kind of circle with the checkbox there. So if we changed it and we didn't use a step button, but instead, I mean, we replace this with anything really. If we leave the on click, let's see, if we leave the on click, yeah, I don't think we'll be changing state. Yeah, I don't think we'll change state. What we want to do on click is scroll to a certain position. Yeah. So let's try changing this. Let's just make it a span for now, and just see what it looks like. All right, cool. So let's change all of these to spans. See how that looks. Whoa. Alright. Still want to get rid of these. But okay, not bad. We'll want to add some styling to that, but we've gotten rid of the other things. So let me see. Active equals text. Okay, I want to see how this looks now in the HTML. Okay. I'm gonna try scroll top. Let me make sure I'm gonna make this a bit smaller so we can see both things. I believe we can scroll. Actually, doing document. Scroll top. Was it? Nah, it would just be 100, right? Nope. Scroll top is not a function. I thought we had used this. What would we use? Let's see. Scroll top. Okay, so that's just giving us our. Can we do scroll to? Let's try it with window. Oh, we need. Sorry. Let's try that again. I remember how to do it now. There we go. Okay, so we can do this, and it'll scroll us around. So, I don't know if you saw that. I'm just typing in different values for scroll top. I'm setting scroll top to whatever I want it to be. Okay. So that's how we do it. You can see I was a little confused at first, and I was trying to set it in here, and DevTools kept telling me that it wasn't a function, and it just didn't register at first. Okay. So at first we're going to do it like this. A nicer way to do this would be to gradually scroll. So maybe we'll implement some sort of smooth scrolling. I have done that on previous projects. It's possible I use jQuery for it, but I think it'd be worthwhile for me to look up how I did it before and see if I could just adapt that. So here's what we want to do. On click, let me grab this. So on click, we want to you want to go scroll top equals this dot set, or this state, and let's go with this, what do I call that, header positions. Okay, so I'm going to go this state header positions, and header positions, and we can actually use the step index, right? We do have the step index here, correct? Yeah, so we can use the step index No, we can't, because I'm not setting the step index anymore. Alright, I may have to rethink how I'm doing this. For now, I'm just going to manually put a few of these in. And we'll at least be able to test the next step. Okay. Let's see. Cool. Alright, so this is working. It's taking us to the sections. Great. Awesome. Okay, so I think that was actually the second step as I explained it before, but that ended up being easier to implement. So, one of the things that we wanted to do is implemented. And the next thing is just going to be to highlight this if we're in that the right area, kind of, so as we scroll down. And that highlight, whether or not something is highlighted, will be determined by our scroll Y, and our header positions. So let's see. So I think we should have a position of active section, and let's say 0. So we'll use the index of each section. I think that'll be, yeah, that should be the easiest way. So section 1, which would be 0, right, because we're 0 indexing. Section 1 will be the default, because that's just going to be the top of the page, basically the top. We're not including that first H2, but this will work. So active section is 0, so let's see. All right. Let me just kind of explain out loud what I'm thinking for the next step. So we will make the active section will be based on a comparison between the scroll Y and the header positions. That comparison will happen every time handle scroll runs. We'll do that same comparison. So I suppose inside handle scroll we'll do that. It'll be something like this set state, but it'll be maybe a switch statement. That may be the best way to do it, because there's going to be conditions. So if scroll Y is between certain values, then that's going to change. It will change the state here for our active section. So then for each one of these, we're going to have some sort of check to say if the active section corresponds to this section that's represented by these labels, then we're going to, I don't know, make it bold or something. I haven't even decided what the indicator is going to be. Does that make sense? Okay. I know there's a delay, so I'll give everybody like 30 seconds to respond. I don't want to lose anyone, so let me know if it doesn't make sense. But that's what we'll be working on. Okay, Patrick, I saw your comment about the warning. So first ESLint comments. Okay, cool. So Patrick's saying that these that he put the first line that he put up here was to take care of the errors that I'm seeing in the console. Step button is defined. Never used. I'm just going to clean things up a bit, and then I'll check the live chat before we move on. Now that I look at this, I think we're really not using very much of the functionality at all of this stepper. Essentially, it's just providing us with just kind of the layout of a list of things vertically. So I guess we didn't really need to use the stepper. We'll see. Once we're finished with it, we may be able to just switch these over to divs or maybe a UL, and it would probably work. Especially since we have some of the styles here too. I guess we don't need the back button. Our styles, actions. I don't think we even have the actions anymore. I'm not sure what part was the content. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that still looks good. That works. What is this? And then props, the elements, 119. Oh, here we go. Forgot to take this one out. What did I... Yeah, we're definitely not even really using most of what's going on with this stepper. So let's just get rid of this. Okay, and I'm still 91. There we go. Visited the center value. Alright, you'll see, I'm just was trying to get rid of some of these errors. Remove these props from the element. Planning Guide 104. I thought I removed all of those. I can't find them. Well, maybe now might be the best time to just switch this over from this step to a UL. Yeah. I think that'll be the way to go. Alright, so let's get rid of this. I mean, why import, this component if we're not even really using it? So, I mean, this was just kind of useful just to help frame how we were going to think about this. But now it's pretty obvious that this is not going to be necessary. Okay, and that should take care of, great, you see it took care of those little lines, which is pretty awesome. So we'll need to add a little bit of padding and everything, but much better, we're going to get rid of, Step and step are defined but never used. Yeah, there we go. Get rid of that. Okay, so now got rid of those error messages, and the click, yeah, so this still works. So everything that we've done with clicking still works. Great. Alright, I said I was going to check the live chat quickly, so I'm going to do that now. Yeah, so let me just check the live chat now since I started this timer late anyway. So we're going to do the 5 minutes. If you're not familiar with this stream and haven't seen it before, we do Pomodoro's timer, so 25 minutes of coding, 5 minutes I check the live chat. We do that maybe 2 or 3 times, and then we finish up, and the last part of the stream is just Q&A, question and answer. Let's see. So I'm just going to scroll up a bit and see what I've missed. Alright, so someone asked if AngularJS is worth learning. I'll just say it depends on what you want to learn. If you're interested in that, if there's jobs at a certain company you know that uses Angular, then it's definitely worth learning. Depends also, how much time you have. If you have a lot of time, go ahead and learn it. You could learn it without even really having a good reason to. Yeah, but it just definitely depends on what you're trying to do. Blake asked brackets.io versus VS Code, so Visual Studio Code. So I don't know. I've never used brackets, so I can't really compare. I have used Visual Studio Code and I like it, but like I said, since I haven't used brackets, I can't really answer that question. Braxton says, "Hey Jesse, how's it going?" I'm doing all right. How's everything going with you? Thanks for watching. Oh, okay. Rohan has a good question. Rohan says, "I know you have a job currently, but if you were to change jobs or go freelance again, would you advertise yourself as a React dev or front end / full stack?" Yeah. I wonder. I guess I would feel comfortable at this point calling myself a React dev. That's not to say I think I'm an expert at React, but I've been developing sites, React sites for a while. So I would do that. Obviously I'm comfortable with front end. I don't know about full stack. I'm getting more confident at doing things other than front end. So I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more with back end before I'd be comfortable saying full stack. But I don't think I'm that far away from being able to say that honestly. So maybe, I guess it would just depend on what I really wanted to do. If I knew I really wanted to do React, which at this point I really like React, so I may end up just saying React dev. Yeah, I may do React because I would like that. And then just for the type of company, React is somewhat new. So I would know that if there is a company that is using React and they're looking specifically for a React dev, the odds of them being open to adopting new things like sooner are probably greater than a company that is just looking for a front-end dev, and who knows, they could be using anything. So I guess it would, for me at least, I'd like to have a job where I'm somewhere that is comfortable trying new things and trying to stay, as cutting edge as is reasonable. So I guess the answer to the question right now, after I've thought about it, is I think I would market myself as a React dev. Oh, okay. Ben, I just saw your comments about the Material UI components and all the props. So, I mean, I guess at this point it doesn't matter, but thank you for letting me know about that. Breakpoint asks, why are you implementing scroll instead of the anchor? We're doing the scroll, well, basically, it's easy to get it. So my time's up here, so let me start this again, but this is a good segue back into the code. So the reason I went with the scroll instead of the anchor, so originally I was planning on doing the anchor, and I think I had, yeah, so I even added in IDs thinking that I would go with the anchor. But I really don't need the IDs now because we end up going with this index. And since we've indexed the positions, the header positions here, then when we click on these, it's easier just to go by the index. I think it's easier just to go by the index at this point, especially if we were to, let's say, like create these dynamically. Okay, so that's one reason, is it was just easier when I was doing this to say like, oh, okay, we have the value stored in an array, so let's just go with the index. The second reason, though, is if I want to implement some sort of smooth scrolling feature, I don't know. Like I said, I need to go back and look at how I've done this in the past, but I think it will be easier to implement by the position, because I believe what I've done in the past is gotten the ID, determined what the position was, and then set up scrolling based on the position anyway. So in that scenario, it wouldn't really matter. You know, we wouldn't be using the anchor to navigate. So does that make sense? I mean, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, and maybe it'll be clearer later on for me. But probably what will end up happening is I'll have some sort of like smooth scrolling happen, and it'll be more beneficial for me to know the position anyway. Okay, I was just checking the last little bit there in the live chat. Okay, so I didn't get through everything, so I'll come back after this Pomodoro session, and I'll start back, right with the comments right after we talked about using the anchor. So any comments made after 2:26 p.m. Eastern time, I will get to those in about 20 minutes. All right, so let's move on. I really think we can get this working before we finish. So that's the goal today. I'm not worried about having it styled 100% properly, but at least having it functional, I think is a good goal, and it's definitely reasonable. Okay, so let's do we're going to do this on handle scroll. Right, and I want to do this on handle scroll because it's being throttled, right? So we're tracking the scroll. We have our event listener, but we're only calling handle scroll every 200 milliseconds. So this is where we want it. Let's do Alright, let's do a switch statement. I'm I'm gonna have to look up on my other screen how to do a switch statement, because I have not typed out a switch statement in a long time. I remember when I was first learning how to do a switch statement, I made a text-based game, and depending on how you answered the questions, it did different things, and it was just one big switch statement. I think it's on my GitHub. Yeah, I think I did put it on GitHub. It was like a Lord of the Rings kind of game, and I think it used alerts. So yeah, so it's probably, I haven't looked at it in years, so it's probably pretty terrible, but the whole point was for me to learn how to use a switch statement. Alright, so on my other screen, I just opened up the MDN page on switch statements, and I'm just going to paste in their example to save some time. Alright, great. So the switch statement is, we're going to pass in the scroll Y. Yeah, we're going to pass in scroll Y. Scroll Y. And then the first case is going to be let's see, scroll Y. Actually, let me see this. I guess it'll be whoops. Yeah, we won't even really need the first value at all, since the top of the page will have it highlighted. So we'll just skip right to the second value. So if it's greater than, wait a second. I need to read. Let me take 5 seconds to read about switch statements, because I'm like totally just drawing a blank with how to do a switch statement. So what I want to do basically is something like, if the first case will be is if scroll Y is less than, nah, wait a second. Yeah, if scroll Y is greater than header this dot state dot header positions 1, then we're gonna use, okay, so you see what I'm trying to do? Oh, okay. Let me try it like this. Okay. This is how I think it would work. All right. So for the switch, I want it to match true, right? So if this is true, then it's going to do what's in here, right? Does that make that makes more sense? We'll find out in a few seconds. So for now, why did they put these breaks? let me get rid of these, or at least let me get rid of that. And I do want this default, so heading 1 and oops, heading 2 and let's see, this stage for y is greater than let's see. I think I'm doing this backwards from what it should be. So what I should have it do is, if it's less than the first position, then it's going to be header 1. There we go. If it's less than the second, then it's going to be header 2, header 3, and then this last case will be 4. And three. What do you think? It's less than 1. That's header 1. Less than 2. All right, let's try this out. What did I do? There we go. Alright, so let's see what we get. Okay, cool. So 4, 3, 2, this is 1. Alright, so normally someone would start at the top of the page. So at the top of the page, let's see, as we go down, heading 1, that's cool, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now we switch to 2 right there. Perfect. Yeah, that's where you want to switch. And now 3. And finally 4. Alright, cool. So that works just like we want it to work. Now we just need to switch it out. Instead of console logging, we need to highlight one of these, depending on where we're at on the page. So let's do that. So I think it's the best way to do this. I'm trying to think if I can put. Can I do this? I don't think I can. I was trying to put a ternary in style, but I'm pretty sure you can't do that. Can you put one inside an element? Let's see. I don't know if I've ever tried this before. Let's just try it and see what happens. So actually, let's see. We want step content. I don't think we need this anymore, right? Yeah, let's get rid of that. I didn't realize I already had a switch statement on the page. That would have simplified things. Okay, so let's do something here. So it comes active. Oh, okay, I already have active section. Okay, cool. So, actually, to test this, all I need to do, I guess, is active section equals 0. Let's see if I can do this. I don't think this is going to work, but let's see. Font weight. Let's see. No, I knew I'd get an error. All right. Let's see. Just to check the live chat really quick. Alright, nothing in there. Okay, so good to know. We can't do this. We can't do this. So let's see. Well, at least I can see if I like the font weight. Alright, so that's a no. I at least can see the difference in that. Can I do it in here? No, that's within an object. Actually, this is JavaScript. This is an object. I wonder if I could do it in here. I don't think this will work either. This will be the last silly thing I try, though. Oh, needs to be this state active section. Whoa. Did that really work? Actually, so it kind of worked. Let me try it on another one. Okay, yeah, it doesn't work. What I was trying to do was check to see if the active section equaled 0, then, oh yeah, wait a second. Maybe it did work, and I just did it wrong. Okay, cool. So that, like I said, it kind of worked because it doesn't update. Let's see. How should I do this? Let's see. All right, so what I'm trying to do, which is probably obvious, is I want to change the font weight based on where we're at on the page. Oh, have I not changed active section yet? Yeah, oh. Alright, that was silly. I haven't actually changed the active section, so this is this set state. Active section equals 0. This may end up working. Equals 1, 2, 3. So right now there are a lot of things hard coded in here that could probably be done in a more automatic way, I guess. But for now, this works. Oh, look at that. It worked a little bit. Oh, I didn't put it on the other ones yet. Alright, so check that out. We have the highlighting is changing. Awesome. Let's put that on these other guys. Alright, so cool. So this is really good to know. I hope I remember this next time I try it, because I know I've done this before and went through the same thing. If you're trying to apply a certain style to an element inline, if you try to put the entire style object inside this ternary, it does not work. But if you, inside that object, since this is just JavaScript anyway, for the value in the key value pair, if you put the ternary there, then it works. So if you're not familiar with this is like, I don't know, what did they call it? One of you are the one that showed me how to do this. It may have been Patrick, and I think you called it like a short circuit or something like that. So basically it's like we're checking to see if the active section is equal to 0. Instead of putting, let's say the question mark and then 500 and then a colon and putting, I don't know, the default font weight value there, we can just say, we can just put this and here basically, and then so whatever happens after that is just going to happen, automatically if this is true, and if it's false, nothing happens, right? Because if it's false, it doesn't go any further, right? So anyway, so it's just a little shortcut. So let's put these here. and here, and this is going to be 2, 3. I just got the feeling like I recreated a lot of what that stepper already did, but oh well, it works. Cool. In CC, so this is working. Oh, note. I don't know if you saw that. So if I click on one, the other one's still highlighted. I think what we need to do in our switch statement then is put equal to, less than or equal to for all these. And that should fix it. So let's double check. Oh, no, it doesn't. If we move down just a bit. It's less than or equal to 1. Oh, no, we don't need the equal to. Let's see. Header position. If it's less than. I think if I had just adjusted like this. Let's see if that does it. There we go. So that was enough. So if we just adjusted it so it's 1 pixel less, then that solved the problem. Because when we click it, it's taking us exactly to where that is. So there we go. All right, awesome. And that was pretty good timing because this just beeped about a minute ago. So I'm gonna do the 5 minutes. Let me check the time. Actually, I might wrap things up now and just check the live chat, do a little question answer now, because we basically accomplished what we wanted to for this. I'm obviously not gonna leave it like this style wise. So I'm going to get rid of these discs, the bullet points. I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to make these. Let's see if that font size. I think this could do with a bit bigger font size. Obviously, some better spacing between these, and maybe something more pronounced here to show what section you're on. I'm thinking like possibly a very small left border that moves as we go up and down, and that border could be our current accent color, which is this yellow. Yeah, I think that'll look a lot better. Also, we're going to want to set our cursor to pointer when it goes over these, just to give a visual indication that these are clickable. All right, yeah, that sounds like that'll look good. So I'll probably work on that. Maybe before I leave. Actually, I've been meaning to stop at the post office for like a week or two, and I never get out of work in enough time before the post office closes, so I may be leaving a bit earlier than normal to be able to make it to the post office. So if I don't get to this today, then Monday morning I'll make those changes. So the code portion of this stream is done. So if you just wanted to stick around for the code, now's a good time to leave, and totally understand if you got some other stuff you need to do. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back on Monday. If you can stick around for the question and answer, that would be great. Even if you don't have a question, I'd really like your input in the live chat to help answer some of the questions that we get. So right now I'm going to scroll back up to where we left off at. So if you have any questions, put them in the live chat quickly, because once I get to the bottom, we'll wrap things up and end the stream. If you can't stick around to hear the answer to your question, you can check out the replay of this video, the recording, and that'll be available on the freeCodeCamp channel. You could also send me a message on Twitter or any other social media platform that you like, and I'll try to answer your question there as soon as I get a chance. Okay. Okay, so I think I found where I left off at, and I'm not going to read out everything in the live chat, but the questions, especially questions from people who are new, definitely want to try to get to those questions and make sure everyone feels welcome. Okay, Blake said Blake had asked a question about brackets.io versus Visual Studio Code, and he says brackets.io does not work with GitHub repos. So it's interesting. Do you mean that it doesn't have any? It doesn't reflect any of the state of Git, like, visually in there? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, so I guess let me know. I probably won't be switching editors, but it would be good to know, maybe especially if there's other people watching that may be considering it. Dinesh asks, is Redux mandatory? And Ben said no, but it is recommended. It's pretty standard pattern for React. Yeah, for sure. I'm building a React project with Redux right now, and it's just like a React blog. You can do blog posts and comment and vote on comments and on posts. And I'm doing that for the Udacity React Nano degree. I'm using Redux for that, but I've actually never used Redux for any of my other React projects. So yeah, it's definitely not mandatory, but now that I'm learning it, I can see that it would give you a big advantage in keeping track of everything, especially if you had a bigger project. Things get a little bit crazy with trying to pass state down through so many child components. It would. Redux makes things a lot easier to reason about. So anyway, definitely recommend it. Unless you're doing a really small project, then you probably don't need Redux. But otherwise, it's probably a good idea to use Redux. Or, I mean, there are other alternatives to Redux too that you could use. Jaskaren asks, which is the best channel to keep yourself updated related to web? Ben says these videos are using pretty up-to-date stuff, and Level Up, I don't know, I always don't know how people pronounce this, but I always say Level Up Tuts, so Tuts. But he says it's a good, it's also good for some of the newer things. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I try to do newer stuff when I can. I mean, I don't use new stuff just to use it because it's new. It has to be of some value to the project. But I I try to do something new on every project that I use. So even if most of my projects are probably going to be React, there's some things that I may need to work on where I can't use React because of I have to work within an existing system. But I am going to try to use some new technology that I've never used before. So I guess Ben's right. This will normally be pretty up to date. It looks like there's some decent discussion on the merits of Visual Studio Code versus brackets. Okay, and it looks like I've got some a clearer picture. So what Blake was meaning by GitHub and brackets is the Git integration is not great. So evidently it breaks live reload if you're using Git. So like I said, I don't know. I don't use it, so I'm not exactly sure. But anybody that uses brackets, maybe if you could help out in the live chat or in the comments to this video and see, have you had any trouble using Git with the live preview? If so, have you found any way to work around that or get it to work? Rohan, earlier I had commented on a JavaScript text-based game that I had made I was trying to learn how to do switch statements, and I mentioned that I used JavaScript alerts for it. And Rohan says, JavaScript alerts, used and loved by scammers and learners alike. Indeed, yes. I really want to go back and play that game now. I think I actually have either a CodePen or something on JS Fiddle. I'm going to have to go back and look at that repo because now I'm just curious. It's fun to look at previous projects and just kind of see, it's like, well, see what you were thinking or how far you've come. Here it is. I'm moving it onto the screen right now. I'm just going to show you all so you can see. Look how simple it is. One JavaScript file and a README. At least I put in a README. That's pretty good. This was probably one of the first things I ever used GitHub for. Let's see if this still works. Okay, yeah, so you can see this big switch statement. Yeah, defeated the orc. Cool. So anyway, actually it's not as big as I thought. It seemed really big at the time. So that's my JavaScript game. I should have saved that for like Thursday. I could have done a Throwback Thursday of that project. But anyway, yeah, feel free to play that whenever you want. It's super fun. You can get through all the game content in less than a minute. If anyone who is a lawyer for the Tolkien estate and you see this, don't sue me. I'll take it down if you want me to. All right, Patrick said, sorry, Patrick, I didn't see this comment. This was a while ago. He said, I don't think that's a great place for a switch statement. So I guess let me know. I'm probably not going to change it right now, but let me know where else would you put the switch. I guess, should I just kind of extract this out of here and then I guess I could make this into a function and return. No, I wouldn't need to return anything, would I? Because it's already doing what it needs to do. Anyway, let me know where I should put it and why, and that would be helpful. It would be helpful for me and maybe for other people watching as well. Actually, there's not really a question, more of a discussion going on about using Git through the terminal or using a graphical user interface for Git. So like GitHub has a Git client for the desktop. I'm interested. I mean, what do you all prefer? Obviously, I use the terminal. I've never used the desktop app for GitHub before. Is it better for some things? I tell you what, figuring out merging things, I could see how merging might be better with a better interface, and definitely trying to do like a git diff would be potentially easier with a graphical interface. But since I already am doing things with the terminal, it's just so much easier to do everything in the terminal, I think. And then once you remember all the commands, it's so much faster. Patrick says, this is the most convoluted use of a switch statement I think I've ever seen. Impressive. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, if anyone has ideas to refactor this, let me know. I'm definitely not... We don't have to stick with this. It's just the first thing that came into my head to deal with that. Patrick said, I once had to refactor and maintain a Perl CGI shopping cart written by a graphic designer as one giant switch statement. I would like to see that. I would not like to have to maintain that, but it would be cool to see it. Mitchell says, hi guys, this is a nice way to learn. Never thought of live coding. Hey, how's it going? Not sure if you're still watching, but thanks for watching. Okay, Patrick says, don't set state twice and handle scroll. Combine the scroll Y one. So ought I then to put this scroll Y part in here so that set state only runs essentially once each time this is called? Oh, okay. Patrick is saying I should build a new object in the switch and then set state at the end with scroll Y included. Okay, that makes sense. So I would then only call set state down here, and it would include whatever whatever info I need and the scroll Y in an object. All right, that's cool. Like I said, I'm not going to make any changes right now, but that does make a lot of sense. Patrick asks, what am I going to do with the menu on small screens? I'm just going to hide it on small screens. I don't really know. I can't think of a good way to display that on a really small screen, so I was just going to leave it off. If anyone has any ideas for how to display a menu like that, so this type of side menu when a screen gets really small, let me know. But I don't know. I think it would just be better. I mean, it'll be a lot of scrolling, but it would be better to just leave the space for the text, I think. Although what I may have available though is an arrow maybe to get to the top of the page. We'll see. Actually, you know what? I am going to try to implement it so that if you scroll up a little bit, the header then appears wherever you're at. So that would eliminate the need to put that arrow to scroll all the way up to the top. Yeah, I think we had talked about that earlier in the week, I think. John Hansen said, it's amazing so much goes into a small UI function. Yeah, can you believe that? I mean, I thought about that this morning. I'm like, I can't believe I'm still working on this part. Like, it looks so small, and it's really hard sometimes to people who have no idea what goes into making something like this would potentially think like, oh, you just add this little thing, that's what, like an hour, less than an hour to do that. It seems like a small thing, but it's really not. So I found that with clients before, with people here at the university, that there's very little understanding of how long things actually take. So occasionally someone will ask for something and it'll immediately be dismissed as, oh, that'll take forever. But really it's not a big deal and I can get it done quickly. And then other times they'll ask for something that they think is a very small thing, and I have to explain, like, well, actually, that's going to take a long time. So, anyway, I guess that's just how it is. I'm sure it's like that with other professions as well. Unless you really know what goes into something, then you won't really have an idea of how long it'll take. So we have a question. I started to use Redux recently, and it feels that it's very hard to divide components in smart and dumb. How do you make it? Let's see. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I haven't really had, so basically smart and dumb components, we're talking about stateless and stateful components, right? So components that have state and that need state, and then components that don't. I don't know. I guess I haven't really had problems in dividing them because usually if your component needs to do something or change based on user action, then it's probably going to need state. If we're talking about Redux, then most of your state should live in the store in Redux, right? So you shouldn't have this separate component state. But I will say, if you have components that are really simple, like that the state is basically just for UI, right? So in this case, I don't know that I would store the state to make this thing work in the store in Redux. This would probably be something that I would keep at the component level, at component level state. So I'm not exactly sure if this is what you're asking. So hopefully this helps though. So this is something where, this state is not going to need to be known, by other components, right? It's not shared, right? So anytime you have a shared state that more than one component needs to know about that state, it should definitely be in the store. But like if you have something that only one component needs, and especially if it's just like UI related, right? In this case, we're just changing. The whole point of pretty much everything that we've done here was just to make this a slightly higher font weight. So I would keep that at the component state. So anyway, sorry if you haven't worked on Redux, that might not have made very much sense to you. So sorry about that. Hopefully the next project we can use Redux, and then that'll be a nice, if you haven't worked with it, it'll be a nice introduction. If you're just starting out with it, then hopefully we can learn and get better with it together. Let's see. All right, John Hansen asks, are empty div, section, main, etc. wrong thing to build into React components, making them reusable? When I tried to do this, components like figure, image, fig caption nested inside the above don't show. Actually, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever tried to make like empty sections, basically layout components, right? Yeah, I don't know that I've tried to make that. Are you using, what would it be? It would be children, so within brackets. I would check out two things I would check out maybe to see. So in our last project, which is the repo is called CI React, or maybe React CI. Either way, there's a layout component that essentially does somewhat of what you're talking about. So check out how that's done. And then also, if you look at the materialize, is it materialize? No, the latest version of Material UI. So the very newest version that we attempted to use at first and then decided to switch back. I think they have some layout components like that are just basically empty sections for their grid view. I would check that out as well and see how they implement that. So I don't think it would be wrong to do that. I could definitely see value in that, especially if you want to use them as layout components. It almost reminds me of in WordPress they have these short codes, and they have short codes for layout, which normally you would just do with divs. But I mean, if you've worked with shortcodes in WordPress, you know what I'm talking about. But essentially, they would serve the same purpose. So anyway, those two places might be a good place to kind of look into it and see how that's being done in other ways. Oh, cool. Kafil says Westboss has a Redux course, and it's free. So that's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. Like I said, I'm learning Redux through the Udacity React Nano degree right now, but maybe that would be a good resource to use alongside of it and give me a better understanding. Hey, Umberto, congratulations. So Umberto, who's regularly in the live chat, says that he just received part 1 of an interview process for a Java developer position. That's awesome. Good luck with the whole process, and that's really good. I'm really happy for you. Definitely let us know how things go. Okay, so let me see. So someone I can't read and how to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry about this. I think I'm assuming that's in Russian. Let me try to translate. I'm going to try to translate this so I can actually say the right name. Alright, so Google Translate is saying it's Bulat. Sorry if that's wrong, I'm just going by Google Translate. So I'm going to say Bulat. It says, recently I got a job as a React Native developer, but on the previous job I coded 2D games with Phaser.js. How much time do I need to afford to be comfortable with React development? I guess it just depends on like how much time per day can you dedicate to it, to learning it, how fast of a learner are you, things like that. So it's really hard to say. It's more of an individual thing. But I think I'm pretty comfortable with React right now. I mean, I'm comfortable enough that I can create websites that are going to be used by clients, by the university. I'm comfortable enough to live code in React, I guess. And I think I started my first real React project last winter. So maybe the beginning of winter in 2016. So it hasn't even been a year yet. And during that time, I haven't dedicated all my time to React either. So I've had to work on other things that weren't React. So I would say, like, potentially, within a few months, you could start, be really comfortable with it. But again, it really does depend on your situation and your capacity to pick up new things. All right, Patrick says, I actually like the switch statement you wrote. So thanks, Patrick. Okay, so David says the desktop clients for Git are good for seeing the history of a repo, especially when multiple people are working on it. That's cool. Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think about that, but that's definitely would be useful as well. Okay, here's some ideas for what to do with this on a smaller screen. So Rohan said, could it be a right slide out? Actually, that's possible. I think I think I remember that doing like a side nav thing like this on this side was very easy. Just basically you just change a prop and to add another one. So yeah, that could definitely. Yeah, that could definitely work. How would I guess I'll think about that. Also, Thomas says, "Would I fix to the top?" Yeah, I could do that too. I'm trying to think. I don't want to take up too much space. We'll just have to try some things out on mobile. Like, I'm not really. Actually, what I should do, I'm going to check out the analytics, right? Because we're redoing something that's already live. I want to check the analytics and see what people are using when they go there. If it turns out that there's a very small percentage of people visiting this on their mobile phones, then I'll probably just end up completely hiding this. If it's a large percentage, then maybe I'll try out some other ways to make this work on a small screen. But it may not be the best use of our time to really do a lot more with this for smaller screens if there's not really many people using the smaller screens. Probably be good to check the analytics anyway, and just to see, perhaps we need to test this on certain browsers that are being used frequently as well. Oh, awesome. So, Bulat says the translation was correct. So, he is from Russia. So, cool. I'm really glad it's correct. I'm a little bit nervous. Google Translate is normally really good, but I'm always a bit nervous that it'll like mess up what somebody's trying to say. So, so that's cool. I'm glad that it got it right. Okay, yeah, so I think I've got through all the questions now, and yeah, okay, so it's almost 4 o'clock Eastern time where I'm at, and I really need to get to the post office before they close. They close in an hour, so now's a great time to wrap things up. Thank you so much for all your help in the live chat, and just for watching. I really appreciate it. I think we got this working, and I'm happy with the way it's working. Just needs a bit of styling to look really nice. And let me think. I'll be back Monday. Let me double check. Just to give you kind of an advanced heads up if I need. Yeah, it looks like I don't have anything on the calendar for Monday afternoon. So unless something else comes up, some meeting, I should be at the same time. I think I do have a meeting at 3 that I didn't put on my calendar, so it'll probably be a short stream on Monday. Maybe I might take a day off next week and take my kids to a museum in Pittsburgh, but I'm not 100% sure about that because some of my kids have been sick lately, so I don't want to take them if they're still sick. But anyway, I'm sure y'all don't need to know my life right now. But have a wonderful weekend. I hope everybody has an enjoyable, relaxing weekend, or if you have to work, I hope it's productive for you. So I guess I'll see you on Monday. Thanks again.